And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Big hello to everybody at Shenton Way!
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, our Raffles Place right here.
Good afternoon to our Raffles Place, our Singapore residents, the heart and soul of Shenton Way, the heart and soul of Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, the UOBians, the Shenton Wayans, and each and every one of you who deserve the voice, who are the voice. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise, give yourself a big round of applause, everybody.
Can I urge the crowd to come forward because there will be more people coming in? It's okay, we will stand in the sun with you, just move forward.
We will thrive and survive. Come forward, come. So that's safer for the more older folks as well, you know, they don't get cramped. Come guys, come. It's okay. Today, we will bask in the sun, we will glow with the sun, and we will thrive with the sun, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Everybody come forward, everybody, right here.
Yes, and for those of you, you're warm, right? Yes, we have all the fan that we can get from our merchandise. Our merchandise booth are behind. Please, you can go and take a look at the merchandise that is on sale. Like we have something like this, our flasks, our SDP flasks. They are on sale for one for $12 and two for $20. We need all the help and support that we can get from, okay?
Yeah, sorry to advertise this, but the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the fact is, when you buy the merchandise, it comes a long way and it goes into, of course, the funding. The backdrop is not cheap. As you can see, AV systems are here, and all of that goes to a good cause right here. Are you guys ready to watch this event, everybody? I can't hear you. Are you ready to watch this event, everybody? All right.
Remember, your vote is secret. On 3rd of May, go to the polling station, be bold, vote our 11 candidates into Parliament. They will speak up for you in Parliament.
Yes, vote for all of them. Dr. Chee, Dr. Paul, Dr. James Gomez, Jufri Salim, we are all here. Most important, for all, even for opposition, as opposition it is, we all stand for one voice, for our voices to be heard. Is that correct, ladies and gentlemen? Is that correct? We stand correct right here, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think we should call ourselves opposition. I think we should just call ourselves the people's people, right? The opposition, the people's people. So folks out there, everybody, please come forward. It is one voice as we celebrate this together. Come, guys, come everybody. Let's move forward right here.
记得5月3号，请投我们新加坡民主党一票，把我们的11位候选人送入国会，他们将会在国会替你们发言。
The sun has come down already. The sun has come down. Come, ladies and gentlemen. The moment the sun goes back, then you'll go back. The sun has come down. Come. The guy in red will be our signal, huh? Okay, whether the sun is going to come up or not, all right? So once again, folks, everybody, if we're ready, I want to ask this of you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have Dr. Chee's books from where he started and where he went through. And it starts with a dream and it ends with never on bended knees. Dr. Chee is here together with us and a wonderful team. And ladies and gentlemen, stronger than ever. Can we please give a big round of applause to the wonderful team, everybody? They are here. Do you want to do a chant, everybody? SDP?
Yes.
Let's go. Ready, steady. Everybody raise your hands up in the air, guys. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
SDP! SDP! SDP!
That's right, guys. Next thing is most important. Some of you who are working together, that's great, you're in a group. Some of you never met each other, but you see each other every day. So ladies and gentlemen, can I ask this of you? Everybody, can you please raise your left hand? Everybody, raise your left hand, everybody. Raise it up high. Raise it up high. For SDP, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to say the pledge. I want you or you can say the pledge if you want. I want you to raise your hands even higher, everybody. Higher. Man in blue, higher. I want you to turn around to your partner or turn around to somebody you don't even know, because that person is your family as well. We are one family. I want everybody to give each other a big high five, everybody. High five, guys. High five.
Bernard.
Go. High five, everybody. High five to each and every one of the partners right here. So, without further ado, we're going to begin in the next couple of minutes right here. Okay? All right? It's already ready. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day. We are here in the pulse and the heart of Singapore, and our voices will be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, together right here, can we please give a warm welcome to Mr. Jufri Salim, everybody?
Jeffrey is the candidate for Marsiling UT. He's also the team member for Marsiling UT, and he's also the CEC of SDP. Let's give him a round of applause.
Let's give him a louder round of applause, everybody.
Thank you, Jesslyn. Thank you, Bernard. And thank you to our supporters and members who have worked tirelessly this entire week. And importantly, thank you to everyone for turning up today. Good afternoon, fellow Singaporeans. Thank you for taking time out of your busy workday to be here. You are the heart of the Singapore's economy, the engine that keeps our nation running strong. Today, I am here to speak not just to you, but for you. You wake up early, you squeeze onto crowded trains and buses, you work long hours, sometimes 2 jobs just to cover the bills. And still, by the end of the month, not much is left. We see record profits in big companies. We see million-dollar salaries for ministers. But the working man, the cleaner, the technician, the delivery rider, the nurse, even the professionals, is left struggling with rising prices and job insecurity. Is this the Singapore we want? It's not fair, and it must change. In today's world, change is constant. Technology is reshaping. Global competition is fiercer than ever. You work longer hours. You balance heavier responsibilities. You invest in upskilling yourself to pursue excellence. And yet, many of you feel the pressure. Rising cost of living, insecurity about jobs, a future that sometimes feels uncertain. You have studied hard, worked hard, sacrificed for your careers and families. But what do you face today? Stagnant wages, unfair competition for jobs, rising cost of living that your paycheck can barely keep up with, retrenchments without real protection. And when you ask questions, what do you get? Excuses, finger pointing, empty promises. These are real challenges, and you deserve MP who understands your struggles and active decisively, not with empty promises, but with real solutions. Our vision is simple. Enough is enough. We need real change, no more slogans. Here's what the SDP will fight for. Jobs for Singaporeans first. We will enact policies to prioritize Singaporeans, not just on paper, but in real hiring decisions. Minimum wage and living wage. We will push for a fair minimum wage so that no working Singaporeans PMET or not, won't fall through any cracks. Retrenchment benefits by law. If you lose your job, you will have a safety net, not just a letter of sympathy. Cost of living cuts. To reduce GST to 7% and remove GST for all essential items. You deserve more than just upgrading yourself, while the system stays stacked against you. We want a Singapore where everyone has the opportunity. We have security to be respected. Here's how. Protecting jobs. We will tighten the framework for foreign manpower at the PMET level, ensuring Singaporeans come first for quality jobs. Lifelong learning that matters. Not just courses for the sake of courses, but direct pathways to better jobs and promotions. Affordable living. We will push for real action to curb cost of living pressures such as housing, healthcare, and essentials. Because you have spent years building your careers. You should not have spent these coming years worrying about being left behind. Singapore's success story was never about leaving anyone behind. It was and must always be about all of us moving forward together. You, and those at the back, and everyone with us here, you all are the backbone of the economy, and it's time policy reflects that. We believe in partnering with you, not lording over you. We believe in respecting your ambition, not restricting it. You have done your part. Now it's time for the system to do its part. The government says Singapore must be open to talent. We say Singapore must be fair to Singaporeans. Being fair doesn't mean closing our doors. It means opening up real opportunities for you, for your children, for every Singaporean who has given their all to this country. Because we are not just economic digits. We are people. We are families. We are citizens with dreams, with dignity. The PAP will tell you that change is risky. We, SDP, tell you, not changing is an even bigger risk. If we keep doing the same things, we will keep getting the same results. More insecurity, more stress, more hollow promises. You have the power. When you step into the voting booth, remember, you are not just voting for a party. You are voting for your career, your future, your family's tomorrow. Let's build a Singapore where everyone not only survives, but thrives. Vote for your jobs, vote for your children's future, vote for a Singapore that respects every PMET, every worker, and every citizen. And to everyone here, let's take back our future together. Vote SDP, 3rd May. Together, we'll thrive, not just survive. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jufri Salim, let's give him a big hand, everybody! And now, for the next of our speakers, over to you.
No, so we must say, on the 3rd of May, we should thrive and not just survive. So 3rd of May, remember when you go to the polling station, your vote is secret. Please vote for the SDP so that you can send our 11 candidates into Parliament.
Each of your votes count. Each of your votes count. Each and every one of you, because your voices need to be heard. And through, of course, the 11 of them that will go through, if they go through the Parliament right here, it is very, very important because they need to be there, because they will voice your concerns, because it is your voice. Singapore, is it your voice? Is it your voice? Majula! Majula!
And let SDP be your voice in Parliament. And with that, allow us to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Alfred Tan. He is the candidate for Sembawang GRC.
Everybody, let's wave your flags. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, my fellow Singaporeans. You know the truth. You feel it every day when you wake up. You see it when you tap in. You know it when you look at your pay slip. You are working harder, paying more, seeing less. The system is not working for you anymore. Thus, the mantra for life in Singapore feels like this: work harder, take less, be grateful. It was 35 years ago, as a fresh graduate, I stepped into Raffles Place as a young bank management trainee. Lunch was by the river, a strip of food stalls at the edge of the river behind BOC, Bank of China building. It is no longer there now. It has been relocated a few times since and is now presently inside the new spanking Capital Spring building behind you. In tandem with the passage of time, marketplace institutions and participants progress in step with the heartbeat of the environment and the people. Market players must change and adapt continually, keeping their fingers close to the pulse of the market, staying with the market, staying in touch, staying relevant. Nothing can be taken for granted. When market participants stay in a space for too long, they get stuck in their old ways. The old had worked for me. Why change the system? Just use the same playbook, and maybe with a few small tweaks, we can keep up. Soon, however, they will find out the hard way that they have become irrelevant, out of touch. The PAP government had continually run this nation for the last 60 years. Out of the 195 countries in the world, they are the few dinosaurs still roaming the earth, albeit in that tiny space called Singapore. When the PAP is in power for so long, without meaningful checks and balances in Parliament, it believes it is the best deal in town, paying themselves millions from public coffers is something they believe is their birthright. No other ideas can be a good idea unless it is birthed in-house. Ideas and truths can only come out from the bellies of the PAP. The complacency of the PAP that it can force-feed its policies down your throat makes them demand that everyone should be grateful to them. We need to stop this before our country sinks further into irrelevance. We need a stronger hand to check this monstrosity. The PAP says, trust us, we know best. They pack this island till the MRTs break down. They flood the workforce with imports while telling you to upgrade. They locked up your CPF and call it for your own good. Where's the heart? Where's the respect? Where's the justice? Let's talk about hard truths. The PAP raised GST right after the pandemic. It felt it was so dominant that it could force this down with minimum opposition, despite the sufferings the people were going through then. Tell me, what kind of government does that? How many governments in the world can do that? Now try and think which countries. The PAP government made everything more expensive, pushed more foreigners into our workforce, and after squeezing you, what did they announce? A $6 billion surplus. That means the PAP government had overtaxed you. They brazenly pat themselves on the back for good financial management. I say it is atrocious financial marksmanship. And where were your PAP MPs? Did they stand up? Did they fight for you? Or did they quietly raise their hands and voted yes for higher GST while you tighten your belt? Ask yourself, are they your voice or are they just echoes of their bosses? This is what it looks like when a place is run by the same gang of people for too long. You deserve better, and that's why the SDP is here. The SDP MP fights for one, real career protection and fair competition. Jobs for Singaporeans first, not free passes for any cheaper labor. You work hard, you train hard, you must be protected. This is your country. 2, affordable living, real retirement, fair CPF rules. We will fight for affordable housing, not $1 million HDB flats. And we will push to peg ministerial salaries, not to GDP growth, nor to the top income earners, but to how well real Singaporeans live. You suffer, they suffer too. Just and fair, right? 3, your money, your future, with full transparencies. You trusted them to manage GIC and Temasek. Are you satisfied with the way they accounted to you as a stakeholder? Do you even see you as such a stakeholder? Can you see how your reserves are used? No. The SDP MP will demand that these be made transparent and accountable, because your money is your future, not their playground. 4, true support when life hits hard. Meaningful retrenchment insurance, because one day you might lose your job, and not because you are lazy, but because the market has shifted. You therefore deserve protection, not empty encouragement and resilience talks while your bills pile up. 5, healthcare, real affordability, because we believe it is a public right. Better mental health support, not just posters telling you it's okay to reach out, but more accessible resources on the ground. If you give your whole self to this country, then the country must have your back. Now, why must you act at this election? Because if you don't change the players, you don't change the game. Look at Parliament now. 90% PAP, 10% non-PAP. When they want to raise GST, raise transport fares, approve $1 million salaries, who can stop them? You think your PAP MPs will dare to say no? They never did. They never will. because they are not there for you. They have to listen to their bosses, and it's certainly not you. If you want a parliament that listens, you must first send MPs who dare to speak up. SDP MPs will be loud, we will be strong, and more importantly, we will never forget who we work for, you. The SDP MP will not be your boss. He will be your shield. He will stand there and say loudly in Parliament, this is not fair for my voters. This does not help the people in Singapore. This is not what hardworking Singaporeans deserve. Fellow citizens of Raffles Place, you built this economy. You work hard, sacrifice weekends, miss family dinners. You don't need handouts. You just need a fair system that respects your work, your dignity, your future. We are not asking for the moon. We are asking for fairness. We are asking for compassion. We are asking for policies made with the heart, not just the head. Fellow Singaporeans, you can keep voting for the same old story and keep hoping for different results. Or you can send a loud, strong, rough, fighting voice into Parliament. Do you want another yes man MP or a fighter who answers to you? The PAP will tell you, be pragmatic lah. We say, have courage. Have the courage to vote for real change, for real heart. Singapore, stand up. Speak out with your vote. Take back your future. Vote with your mind, vote with your heart. Vote SDP. Thank you. Majulah Singapura.
Does Alfred deserve to be in Parliament? Does our 11 candidates deserve to be in Parliament? So come 3rd of May.
3rd of May, ladies and gentlemen. And just now I need to make a stand for a correction. I said if and when they get into Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, and they deserve to be in Parliament. It's not an if. When they get into Parliament, yes or no? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They will, and they will have a voices. We need to make that numbers. We need to be heard with those numbers. As they say, the more the numbers, the stronger we are, and the stronger your voices are heard. Majulah!
And before we introduce our next speaker, can I urge all of you to come forward because there are more people coming. And especially those with umbrella, can you all just move forward and you can take a seat here?
Just feel free.
Yes, and you all can share the umbrella. Yes, SDP
That's right.
umbrella. Thank you very much.
Come and join us in the hot sun. No problem.
Our umbrellas are actually sold out. But we have other merchandise that's for sale. You all can go to our merchandise booth to find out more.
And yeah, okay, so the thing about the merchandise is basically it goes to the funding, and all that funding goes into, of course, SDP right here for all the things. It's not cheap to get all these things all set up. It's quite an amount, a large, copious amount. So, without further ado, I would also like to talk about as well, ladies and gentlemen, the things that you can buy right here as well. On bended knees as well. Dr. Chee's book, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just a book. It's about a book of trial, tribulations, and where he went to, which was, how would you say, like a holiday resort, and how he came out, and how he came out stronger from it. All these matter once again, ladies and gentlemen, because this is about Singapore. We also have, of course, a lovely merchandise which can put in a car, which
It's
everybody...
Benny the Democracy Bear.
Benny the Bear, okay?
Yes.
So once again, ladies and gentlemen, all these matter. Even these lovely small things matter because it goes to the proceeds right here for SDP. Yeah? All right. Is everybody enjoying yourself so far? Show your flag, Singaporeans! Show it all! Thank you so much. Jaslyn.
Okay, come. Let's introduce our third speaker. Our third speaker, Mr. Arifin, our youngest candidate. And he is the candidate for Masi Ling UT. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to welcome our youngest candidate, Arifin.
Never fear! Let's say it together. Never fear. Achimale, 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 Achimale. Sorry, I stand corrected. Achimile, 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 Achimile. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand to Arifin, everybody.
Good afternoon, UOB Plaza! Now, before we start, I want all of us to take a moment to thank the policemen who have been working tirelessly under the hot sun. Give them a round of applause. When you see them, thank them on your way out. Yesterday, this venue was used to propagate the politics of fear. Today, we will talk about the politics of hope. Remember, my friends, we may work in the CBD, but we have more in common with the everyday Singaporean than your million-dollar ministers. If anyone deserves credit for where Singapore is today, it is our tireless civil servants, our blue-collar workers, and the migrant workers who literally built Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong. Singapore will survive without ministers. But Singapore cannot survive without our nurses, without our teachers, without our frontline service staff, without our paramedics, policemen, our food delivery riders, bus riders, our cleaners, our hawkers. These are the people that are the backbone of Singapore. Ministers come and go. Our backbone is here to stay. You know, someone asked me the other day, what is the life of a Singaporean? And I saw one answer which said that when you leave your house, the sky is dark. When you come home, the roosters are joining us too. When you leave your home, the sky is dark. When you come home, the sky is dark as well. That is the life of a Singaporean. You go to work, you go to school, if you're in a rush, your Grab prices will kill you. Your salary crawls or remains stagnant, but the prices of everything else grow up. You struggle with mental health, but you don't really have an outlet. How many of you, honestly, how many of you are comfortable telling your employers that you need to go for therapy or you need to take a day off? And don't even get me started on the cost and mental capacity needed for wanting to start a family. In Singapore, we have a mental health crisis. 1 in 3 young Singaporeans have reported, according to the IMH last year, extremely severe symptoms of anxiety, stress, and depression. This is concerning. You know, my friends, when we were young, we were told, don't worry, study hard, work hard, keep your head down, you'll be okay. But let me tell you, as someone coming from the younger generation, this maxim does not apply to us anymore. Us young people, we do not see the same ROI, the same return on investment for our hard work anymore. And no, this is not us being a strawberry generation. This is us laying out the cold, hard truth. You know, the Singapore of today is very different from the Singapore of the 70s and the 80s. We have all heard anecdotes of how a taxi driver can work hard, but still put food on the family for his still put food on the table for his family, have some nice holidays, and send his children to school and even university. Singaporeans, we used to dream of the 5 C's. Not anymore. The powers that be tell us that, oh, Singaporeans don't talk about the 5 C's anymore because they are not materialistic anymore. That's not true. Singaporeans do not dream of the 5 C's anymore simply because the 5 C's are unattainable. You know, these days when I look at the prices of HDB, I am honestly worried. Of course, you see the headlines. The headlines say HDB is affordable. Minister Desmond says he's monitoring. But a young person these days, when you look at the median prices, and this is no joke, 10 years ago, if you talked about a 1 million resale HDB, you will say that it's unthinkable. But today you see so many 1 million HDBs, and I honestly worry for the future. And trust me, my friends, my fellow Singaporeans, if you are okay, how about the next generation? How about those of us who are not so well off? In Singapore, we must not just think about ourselves, but we must think about our entire society, everyone around us. When you're living life like this, it's hard to have hope. It's hard to dream. Even sometimes when people ask you, what are your hobbies, what do you do in free time? I struggle to answer. And this is precisely why the SDP's message of hope, of restoring dignity, of wanting a Singapore where we all can thrive, not just survive, is so important for all Singaporeans. You know, there was a point of time where all of us looked forward to National Day parades. Remember that, my friends? National Day parades were a source of joy. The entire family will come together to watch it. But these days, sometimes, there is still that joy, there is still that pride, but a lot of times we use it to catch up on sleep, to catch up with our friends. You know, we must reject the policy of fear. We truly want a Singapore, not just in form, but in substance. Enough of motherhood statements. We want a Singapore where we can thrive and not just survive. But my friends, we cannot do it without you, without any one of you. Kenneth, the iPad temperature. Too hot already. Sorry about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, while we settle that glitch, let's vote for SDP. Everybody, let's put our voices together. Everybody, hands up in the air, guys. Hands up. Vote for SDP. 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 Raise your flags. That's what we are.
And Arifin.
SDP. SDP.
Arifin might be young. But tell me, does he deserve to be in Parliament? Would you vote for him in Parliament? Show your support.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
By saying, Arifin! Arifin! Arifin deserves to be in Parliament, so when comes 3rd of May, go to the polling station for the residents of Muslim UT. Cast your vote. Vote for Arifin and his team.
Actually, Arifin is not young. Ladies and gentlemen, Arifin is already 45 years old. Doesn't he look young, ladies and gentlemen? Let's give him a big hand. All sold with all body. 45, no?
27.
45 turning 27. Okay, but without further ado, just in case, ladies and gentlemen, feel free, of course, to buy those lovely merchandises. And on May 3rd, walk on in. I wish we had the Tak Boleh Tahan t-shirt,
Yeah,
which is totally sold out.
Our Tak Boleh Tahan t-shirt is
Totally sold out.
But you all still can buy Dr. Chee books because later on he will do a autograph. So for those of you who wants to autograph of Dr. Chee and perhaps take picture with him, please go to the booth and get his books.
Yeah, and of course, if you're going for a lovely holiday, or if you're just taking time off to chill out at the pool, feel free to buy Dr. Chee's books. The 3 books are Never on Bended Knees, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Democratically Speaking, and it starts with a dream. Ladies and gentlemen, also just to let you know, in the midst, Dr. Chee has also just arrived. Let's give him a big round of applause, everybody.
Over to you, Arifin.
Over to you, Arifin.
My friends, let me tell you this. More than anything this GE, what I personally want to see is Dr. Chee Soon Juan and Dr. Paul Tambaya be elected into Parliament. My fellow Singaporeans, do not let the PAP's fear tactics sway you in any way. You are not shortchanging yourself by voting for an SDP MP in Parliament. The government's programs will still go on, your estate will be fine, Singapore will be fine, in fact, not just fine, you will be thriving, not just surviving. And my friends, remember, when you vote for an SDP MP, these are the 3 qualities that you're voting for. Number 1, someone who is tireless on the ground. $15,000 of your taxpayers' money is going for your MP salaries. The SDP MP will be a full-time MP and residents will have their undivided attention. Secondly, we will be relentless, absolutely relentless in advocacy. We will speak up for your voices, your concerns, and make sure that your voices are heard. And finally, my friends, we will make sure that we are fearless in Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, take a moment now to dream with me. Let us dream together because many of us, we have forgotten how to dream. Picture this, my friends. It's close to midnight on polling day. The returning officer comes out. It's no longer Yamami. The returning officer comes out and he says, the results for Sembawang West SMC, and you hear that Dr. Chee Soon Juan has won. Ten minutes later, after victories in Punggol and Jalan Kayu are also announced, and then, towards the end of the night, the returning officer comes out again and says, results for Bukit Panjang SMC. And he tells you that Dr. Paul Tambaya is elected into Parliament. Keep that feeling in your hearts. Hear that noise, because on May 3rd, it will be 10 times louder than this. And it will be heard from Changi to UOB Plaza to Jurong. My fellow Singaporeans, vote without fear, vote for hope, go towards change. Remember, sometimes in life we need to make difficult decisions, but these are necessary decisions. And just remember this, when Dr. Paul Tambaya wins, when Dr. Chee wins, it will not be our victory. It will not be the SDP's victory. It will be the victory of the Rakyat. And just before I end, we like to do a little thing. So for those of you who have seen us at Woodland Stadium, Choa Chu Kang Stadium, you know how this goes. I will say Acha Milay. Acha Milay means have no fear. And I think the cameras might want to take it because it's probably the first time you hear a Tamil chant in UOB Plaza. Acha Milay, repeat after me. Acha Milay. Louder, one more time. I know you all haven't had your lunch yet, but come on. Acha Milay. Okay, we will do it 3 times, okay? Acha Milay. Acha Milay. Acha Milay. Acha Milay. Thank you, my friends. Together, let's make history happen on May the 3rd.
Thank you, Arifin, right here. Thank you very much. Acha Milay!
5月3号，居民们、朋友们，记得去投我们新加坡民主党一票，把我们的11位候选人送入国会。
对. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right here, we present the next speaker right now, and let us invite him on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big, warm round of applause to Mr. Daman, everybody.
Daman is the candidate for Sembawang GRC.
A very good afternoon to everyone. A very hot afternoon too. Friends, Singaporean voters, on the 3rd of May, we are standing in possibly one of the most historic and iconic part of Singapore. Next to the Singapore River, I still remember growing up, seeing all the tongkang berth close to each other, packing this now serene river. It was busy, dirty, smelly, but it symbolizes our economic journey as a trading nation into what we now are. In 1965, Singapore became independent. But the real story of our country began well before. Our island nation saw the passage of regional history from the Srivijaya Empire to the Majapahit Empire that spans from the 7th century to the 16th century, a period of more than 1,000 years. Admiral Cheng He, or Cheng Ho, as the Malays then refers to him, passed by our very shores, and his chroniclers recorded that passage of his huge armada that was far superior and surpassed any fleet of any nation of those days. He was recorded to have sighted the Dragon Tooth Gate that was the shipping landmark well known in those days at Tanjung Belaya. Now it's called Keppel. What I am getting at, my friends, is this 60 years old Singapore story is far more richer and exciting than what we are told by those party in whites who stood here yesterday at this very spot. We too have our stories, and we want it to be written and to be heard and to be told, one that highlights the pain and the struggle of the common people. You and I, the majority of us, still wondering why they raised the GST twice post-COVID at a time when high cost of living pressure is already so bad. Are there any one of those MPs and ministers you saw yesterday who voted against the GST rise? the late LKY said that the time will come when the people will decide, let's give the other side a chance. Is this the time? You answered that on the 3rd of May. Our Singapore story is one of hope and belief in having a new deal, a better deal for everyone, one that includes the majority of you here, but also the blue-collar worker, the Grab driver, the delivery driver, the road sweeper, the cleaner, the contract worker earning a hourly wage, treating every one of us not as mere economic digits. The SDP offers politics of hope over fears that wants to review the policies of the day made by the PAP that has led to this high cost of living crisis of their making. That the monopoly over fresh ideas and solutions for our nation is not just with the PAP. There are many of us in the SDP who choose to stand because we feel strongly compelled to do so, as the option to just sit and keep quiet has long passed. We had to make numerous calculations as the decision to come forward and join the SDP, or for that matter any opposition party, may come with a heavy price and many risks to our lives. But here we are, standing before you, the people, to offer to represent you in Parliament, to be your real voice, to air your concerns, your grievances, to speak your thoughts, to express your anxieties and fears, coping with the high cost of living, the astronomical rise in the HDB prices, the fears of losing your jobs unfairly, the worries of our elderly parents and ourselves who are not so young about our future when we fall sick, and the cost impact for our health and our pocket. In this election, my friend, they will ask for a strong mandate for the new PM Lawrence Wong. This election gives you the opportunity to pass a strong message to the PAP. Are you better off after 5 years of having this current government, which Lawrence Wong was a part of? He may be the new Prime Minister, but behind that smiley face is the same old PAP that ignored all your complaints and continue to do what they want without asking us, the people, making us pay even more than we did 5 years ago for our bread, eggs, milk, rice, sugar, oil, baby diapers, and even adult diapers of our elderly parents, making us ever poorer than we were 5 years ago. Sorry, I have the same problem with the iPad. Warm up. I think I'll continue impromptu. So, my friends, what is at stake for us today is that if we don't vote an alternative, we will get the same thing for the next 5 years. We at the SDP are offering to you, all of us, a vision of hope so that we can chart a new path for everyone. Allow me to speak a bit of Malay. Para pengundi yang semua yang saya hormati dan kasihi, pada tanggal 3 hari bulan Mei ini, anda akan mengundi dan undi anda adalah sangat penting. Apa yang anda harus fikirkan ialah adakah keadaan kita lebih baik 5 tahun yang lalu dan apa yang kita akan hadapi 5 tahun ke depan. Bagi kita masyarakat Melayu, kita harus fikirkan sama ada 60 tahun dipimpin oleh pemerintah PAP, kita dalam keadaan yang lebih baik setelah 60 tahun. Adakah mereka telah menolong kita untuk mendapatkan perkara-perkara yang kita inginkan sebagai sebuah masyarakat? Ataukah mereka telah menjadi penghalang terhadap cita-cita kita sebagai sebuah masyarakat? Adakah semua badan-badan Melayu, badan-badan Islam yang di bawah mereka digunakan untuk menghalang kemajuan masyarakat kita? Ini adalah fakta-fakta dan perkara-perkara yang harus kita fikirkan apabila kita pergi mengundi pada 3 hari bulan Mei ini. Jadi, kita perlu fikir masak-masak kerana masa depan anak-anak kita akan terjejas. Kos sara hidup yang tinggi dirasai oleh semua rakyat. Kos membeli rumah baru untuk anak-anak muda yang baru kahwin melambung ke langit. Adakah ini keadaan yang kita mahu berterusan? Tentu tidak. Jadi, anda dan keluarga anda, teman-teman anda, sahabat dan handai harus membuat satu tindakan dan menggunakan undi anda. Kerana undi anda adalah kuasa keramat di tangan anda. Jadi pada 3 hari bulan Mei, undi pembangkang, undi SDP, undi untuk masa depan yang lebih cerah, bukan terus terbelenggu dengan PAP dan karenah dia. Terima kasih. Finally, for all you voters out there, this is one in every 5 years when you become the boss. So, as the boss, you have heard the interview by all the MPs. Make the right choice. Chart a different path so that our hopes for a new and bright future is realized. Vote for the SDP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daman. Friends, are you all hot? Are you all feeling hot? Hot with passion? Hot with passion to vote our 11 candidates to Parliament. Come 3rd of May, your vote is secret. Vote our 11 candidates to Parliament. They will speak up for you. They will be your voice in Parliament.
Ladies and gentlemen, next our speaker right here is an advocate for democracy and human rights in Singapore. You all know him, ladies and gentlemen. He has been waiting to be elected into Parliament, and thereby it's just right now about time he should. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who reiterated Bo Be Tau. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dr. James Gomez.
Dr. James Gomez is a candidate for Sembawang GRC.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My speech today is entitled Reject PAP's Fear-Mongering. Elect SDP MPs. Dear Singaporeans, reject the PAP's fear-mongering. Every election season, when the PAP is out of ideas and cannot counter alternative policy ideas, or when they cannot withstand the wrath of the people suffering the rising cost of living, the PAP tries to scare the voters. They tell you that if you vote for the opposition, Singapore will collapse. That if you bring in anyone other than the PAP to Parliament, Singapore's success story will crumble. When the PAP behaves this way, do not let fear guide your decision. Let your hopes, your needs, and your future be the courage that guides your vote. As we turn into the final days of the campaign, you will hear the PAP turn up the fear rhetoric. Lawrence Wong is doing it, but he's not so good at it. Lee Hsien Loong steps in. He is an old hand at it. But what Lawrence Wong and Lee Hsien Loong do not realize is that the PAP style fear-mongering in Singapore politics is no longer effective. We are living in different times. Lee Hsien Loong fear-mongered just 2 days ago. Quote, "If we lose our ministers, Singapore is in trouble. Do you want to replace ministers with someone cheaper?" Close quotation marks. Such logic is unbelievable. But I can understand. It comes from the PAP's desperation. After all, losing ministers will be a problem for the PAP, but not for us Singaporeans. Remember, this is the same Lee Hsien Loong who said nearly 20 years ago, if more opposition MPs were elected, he would have to spend his time thinking about how to fix them. The truth is, Singapore has changed, and Singaporeans have changed. The PAP has also changed, but for the worse. It is a party that is on a downward decline. This is normal. Political parties, after more than 60 years, eventually wither away. It is a natural evolution of politics. That's why Singapore needs alternative MPs, SDP MPs, who will keep Parliament awake and accountable, where the quality of PAP MPs is poor. Let me now turn to Lawrence Wong. He says the PAP cannot govern effectively if there are more opposition MPs. Again, one nonsense. Effective government demands accountability, transparency, and debate. It requires different voices in Parliament, including SDP MPs, to challenge bad policies, policies that hurt Singaporeans. A strong Singapore is where a multi-party parliament listens to the people to enact policies that are good for Singapore as a whole. It is not a parliament made up of one party that demands a blank check. If the PAP can only function when handed a blank check, if it can only perform without checks and balances, then something is deeply wrong. If Lawrence Wong says that his team can only function when given unchecked power, then the problem is not with us Singaporeans, but with the PAP. A PAP that fears scrutiny. When you vote for a stronger opposition, you are not hurting Singapore. You are only threatening the PAP's desire for total control. It is their plans that will be disrupted, not the prosperity of Singaporeans. The PAP's attempt to dangle NCMPs as an alternative to elected opposition MPs is moot. We have seen that the NCMP scheme has been discredited when several NCMPs became turncoats and joined the PAP. This now brings me to Ong Ye Kung, who held the Health Minister portfolio and is a candidate in Sembawang GRC. Just last night, he said, I think the SDP is trying to hoodwink us. Let me tell you, this underperforming health minister is the one who is trying to hoodwink the electorate of Sembawang. Under his watch as health minister, we have seen a failure in healthcare, a lack of real action to address Singapore's growing mental health crisis, and a chronic neglect of health giver support. And right in Sembawang, where he is supposed to serve the people, he's busy playing with horses. This is why Ong Ye Kung has to go. We at the SDP are not unreasonable. We are contesting in Sembawang because the residents invited us to contest there. Sembawang residents see a strong party in the SDP and electable candidates. So they want the opportunity to elect SDP MPs to replace the current slate of underperforming PAP MPs. They prefer to have SDP MPs serve them. So who are the SDP MPs? SDP MPs are MPs who are not afraid to challenge bad policies, MPs who won't be silenced, and MPs who will ask the tough questions and fight for better answers. In Sembawang and in the constituency of our northern strategy, that's the kind of MPs the residents want. MPs who will stand firm, ask the hard questions, and fight for the residents' interest. With SDP MPs in Parliament, there will be no more sleeping on the job. If anyone sleeps in Parliament, you can rest assured that the SDP MPs will give them a tight slap of questions that will wake them up. The SDP offers qualified, committed, electable candidates who, when elected as MPs, will work tirelessly for you and not for their self-interest. Vote for SDP, vote for SDP. We are looking for a clear mandate for Parliament. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. James Gomez.
Remember, 3rd of May. Vote our 11 candidates to Parliament so that they can go to Parliament and speak up for you or slap them.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, next on the list right here, let's welcome him on stage right here, right now. Mr. Brian Lim, everybody!
Mr. Brian Lim is the candidate and team leader for Sembawang GRC.
Can the people at the back hear me? Okay, good. Good afternoon, my friends. Before I start my speech, UOB Plaza, let's hear you roar! My friends, I stand before you today, not just as a speaker, not just as a candidate, but as a fellow Singaporean, a father who lies awake at night, wondering if his kids will ever afford a home. A citizen who sees the Singapore dream chipping away, not because we aren't working hard enough, but because the system is rigged against us. I see the same rising prices that you do. I hear the same signs at the checkout counter in the supermarkets. I fear the same burden of making every dollar stretch just a little further. My friends, we wake up early, work hard, play by the rules, but somehow it's never enough. Bills keep climbing. The price of groceries feels like it's on steroids. Our parents hesitate before visiting the doctor because they fear the medical bill more than the illness itself. Young couples look at HDB prices and wonder if home ownership is but a dream. Singapore is a world-class city, but we often feel like second-class citizens in our own homes. Let me ask you, my friends, do you feel like this country has worked for you and not just for the privileged few? Do you still believe this is the kind of Singapore we can truly live in? Can you seriously say you can retire in comfort? My friends, if no is your answer, then this is not the Singapore we will promise. We will promise progress, but we are buried under pressure. We will promise prosperity, but we are struggling for survival. We will promise opportunity, but what we have gotten is inequality. We were told to study hard, work hard, save hard, but now we can't even afford a flat, a doctor, or even a decent plate of chicken rice. But then, you have your multi-millionaire ministers whose gardens are bigger than your house. But then you have your minister who asks you to stop complaining over the $5 bowl of wanton mee. But then you have your 5 mayors who are paid over 3.3 million Singapore dollars to oversee fewer than 1 million residents each, while the mayor of London earns under 300,000 Singapore dollars, looking after 8 million people, a size that's even bigger than Singapore. My friends, I say enough is enough. We don't want to live in a Singapore where choosing dinner means choosing between survival or indulgence, where rice is all we can afford, not all we deserve. We're not beggars kneeling for crumbs. We're the citizens of Singapore, and we demand our rightful seat at the table. My friends, we don't just want a Singapore where we can barely survive, but a Singapore where we can thrive, where dignity isn't something you beg for, it's something you demand, where your value isn't measured by how much you suffer, but by how high you rise. This is why the SDP has a bold vision, a vision where Singapore is not just a place where we get by, but a place where we get ahead. A vision for Singapore where we don't have to choose between paying those hefty bills and caring for our aging parents. A vision for Singapore where hard work brings security, not uncertainty. A vision where elderly can retire with dignity, where our workers are paid fairly, where our children can grow up with opportunity. But my friends, to fix what's broken, we must have the courage to name the problem. Inflation is eating away our savings like termites in an old wooden house. Food prices are climbing so fast, soon we have to take out a loan just to buy eggs. Electricity bills are rising, but what about incomes? Stagnation is the word. Our elderly work as cleaners, security guards, and cardboard collectors, not out of choice, but out of desperation. And yet, a former Speaker of Parliament dares to say they need exercise, as if struggles are a workout. My friends, we're not demanding to live in luxury. No, we're not asking for a Ferrari, a Hermes handbag, an $80 plate of pasta, or a good-class bungalow. But here's the worst part. This struggle is not our fault. It is a result of bad PAP policies. Policies that take more from us and give less in return. And that's why SDP has a plan to change this. We don't believe in empty promises and short-term vouchers, which only treat symptoms. The SDP believes in real long-term solutions which address the root of the problems. The SDP MP will demand for the removal of GST on essential goods. My friends, why are we taxing necessities? Rice, bread, milk, and medicine. These are not luxuries. These are life. The SDP MP will fight to slash the GST from 9% to 7% or even 5% on essentials, because no grandmother should choose between her medicine and her next meal. The SDP MP will make healthcare truly affordable. Right now, medical bills are like lottery numbers, random, shocking, and often life-changing in the worst possible way. The SDP MP will push for a universal healthcare system where the government covers more of the costs, so you don't have to choose between medicine and meals. Because seeing a doctor should be a luxury. It should not be a luxury. It should be a fundamental right as a human being. The SDP MP will advocate for affordable public housing. HDB flats are meant to be affordable, but for who? Certainly not for the young couples looking at the CPF and realizing that they need a miracle just to own a home. The SDP MP proposes that land prices should be removed from the cost of flats. Flats built under our non-open market housing policy ensures that they are affordable and not for speculation or profit-making. The SDP believes that a home should be a place of security, not a financial trap that forces you into debt for 30 years. The SDP MP will demand for fair wages for Singaporeans. We believe that a full-time job also means full-time dignity. The SDP will push for the implementation of a minimum wage so that no workers in Singapore is paid so little that they have to work 2 jobs just to survive. We'll push for a minimum wage that will give you maximum respect. The SDP MP will also ask for support for small businesses. Our hawkers, shop owners, and local businesses are the backbone of our community. But with skyrocketing rents and tough competition from big corporations, many are struggling to survive. The SDP MP will fight for lower commercial rents and fairer policies to help small businesses stay alive. Because when local businesses thrive, the entire community thrives too. Now, my friends, I'd like you to close your eyes and picture this. A grandmother who is no longer has to choose between medicine and meals. A young couple who can buy their first home without mortgaging their dreams. A hawker who doesn't wake up at dawn fearing that his store could be gone by dusk. An elderly security guard who can finally retire, not because he was forced to, but because he can afford to. This is the Singapore the SDP MPs can build, my friends. And this is the Singapore that we all deserve. But change, my friends, does not happen by making wishes. It happens by voting for the SDP MP. It happens when we stand together and demand better. My friends, may I appeal to you today? If you believe that your grocery bill should not feel like a robbery, stand with us. If you believe that healthcare should heal, not bankrupt, stand with us. If you believe that Singapore belongs to the people, not just the powerful, stand with us. My friends, we have only two choices. We can keep things the way they are, watching prices rise, wages stagnate, and the government tell us to just keep tightening your belts. Or we can choose change, real change, bold change. Change that puts people over profits, wisdom over wealth, and rights over riches. Change that chooses courage, not fear. Change that will give you the impetus to thrive and not just survive. The SDP MP is ready to fight for your dignity and pride. My question to you, my friends, are you ready to fight along the SDP MP for your future? Then vote for the SDP come May the 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, right here.
Besides voting for us on the 3rd of May, we would also like to appeal for volunteers to be our polling agent. We need a lot of polling agents just to ensure that the election is conducted in a fair way.
That's
if you
right.
want to find out more information, please go to our merchandise booth. They are able to explain to you. We have, I think, 2 shifts. Out of the 12 hours, there's actually 2 shifts. For more information, please go to the merchandise booth, and at the same time, you can get some merchandise.
That's right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, be a part of the SGP, and of course, you'll be able to help in the facilitation of that polling right there. And of course, please vote the 11 wonderful, wonderful formidable team right here into Parliament as they take you and become your voice of Shenton Way, your voice of Singapore.
Your voice in Parliament too. As you can see, some of our volunteers were concerned about, especially the media team, that you are under the hot sun. We are, if any of you need drinks,
if you guys need water,
umbrellas,
let us know, okay?
yeah,
You need water, let us know.
Stay hydrated. We know the sun is very hot.
It's very hot, especially even for me, just as being as an MC, it's hot. It is hot. But I'm still here because you know why? I stand here before people who have a need to have their voices, which are the right people to also be a part of the wonderful Parliament team as well. Ladies and gentlemen, they will be your voices. And the next person right here, who's made also quite a lot of headway, I'm sure you want to hear from him, and he's made quite a lot of points. Ladies and gentlemen, for SGP, for SGP, it is my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Dr. Paul Tambaya.
Dr. Paul is the candidate for Bukit Panjang SMC.
Thank you very much. Friends, fellow Singaporeans, it's an amazing feeling to be back here on this stage. 14 years ago, I was a guest speaker at the SDP rally on this site during the 2011 general elections. And I shared a stage with not just Dr. Chee Soon-Juan, but also the legendary Dr. Vincent Vijayasinghe, who was recently described by a friend as someone ahead of his time. The SDP has always been ahead of the times. In 2011, MediShield, which was the government's catastrophic health insurance plan, established in 1990, did not cover pre-existing illnesses such as cancer and diabetes. I spoke here about what many of my patients told me. 在新加坡可以死，不可以生病。In Singapore, you can afford to die, but you cannot get sick. So the SDP responded to this and launched our healthcare plan. The key element is a single-payer, universal healthcare system, which means that there's one national insurance scheme covering both the public and private sectors. It could be administered like ElderShield by some of the big insurers. All costs are tightly regulated because of the dominance of the single payer, which is the government. Our call for healthcare financing resonated, and it became one of the reasons why the PAP suffered a drop in vote share and lost one GRC in 2011. And this had a major positive effect. Two former prime ministers left the cabinet, together with two other ministers held responsible for the fiascos in transportation, housing, and also even national security. This is solid evidence that your vote counts. Sending a strong signal to the PAP on 3rd of May will improve their performance. It did in 2011, and there's no reason why it will not do so again in 2025. The SDP's proposals will be like a snowball in Greenland, gaining momentum and building up for a real change in Singapore. So the SDP's slogan for this year is a call for Singaporeans to thrive, not just survive. T stands for taxation, which is fair. And I know that many of you work in the industry, and you know that a lot can be done to make our system fairer for Singaporeans. The most obvious is the regressive GST. The PAP has claimed that the opposition blames the PAP for everything that goes wrong, but doesn't give them credit for things that go right. Come on. The reality is that Singaporeans know what is within our control and what is not. We know that there was a global surge of inflation over the last couple of years. But to this day, I have not found a single person who's been able to explain to me why the best response to the rising cost of living was to increase the GST, not once, but twice, especially at a time of record fiscal surpluses. H stands for healthcare that is universal. Unfortunately, despite the reforms in MediShield Life, medical expenses have in the last 2 years now become number 4 in the list of reasons cited for bankruptcy, according to data from Credit Counselling Singapore. No one should have to go bankrupt just because you have cancer or some other disease. R stands for respect, respect for this planet, and calls for a stronger move from fossil fuels towards renewables. We have also championed the cause of Clementi and Dover forests and protested the ill-advised clearance of Kranji forests. All these take away the green lungs of our city-state. I, THRI, I stands for rational approach to immigration. We are not against immigration and have in fact proposed a talent track scheme, which encourages individuals with skills that we need or deep family connections to commit to Singapore. This would be preferred rather than simply trying to meet racial quotas, which is actually quite divisive. V stands for VERS that works. The Voluntary Early Redevelopment Scheme was proposed in 2018 by then PM Lee Hsien Loong, when the government publicly recognized the problem of HDB lease decay. Recently, PM Lawrence Wong was frank enough to admit that our HDB flats will have zero value after 99 years. He made the comparison with private condominiums, but that's a bit misleading because condo owners own strata title to the land. So they can decide at any point in time, usually when the condo is aging, to go en bloc, sell to a developer, get a new lease. They are not trapped with lease decay like HDB owners. So the VERS scheme was supposed to address this, but we have not heard any details at all. There is a lot of concern that if the PAP receives a strong mandate on Saturday, the terms of VERS may be unfavorable to us. And this happened with SERS, the Selective En bloc Redevelopment Scheme in Ang Mo Kio Avenue 3. Initially, many residents had to fork out additional costs or downgrade to smaller units. But it's not just the old people like me who are concerned about housing in Singapore. Young people are facing a huge problem with the spiraling costs of BTO flats and resale flats. The SDP has a concrete plan to address this problem with a suggestion to give people the option to choose non-open market flats which can be sold only to the HDB or retain the tradable open market nature of their flats. During GE2015, the PAP sent out a mailer into every household in the GRC we were contesting, criticizing our policies. On our non-open market housing plan, they said the scheme undermines home ownership, resale prices have fallen, and new flats are affordable. Those 3 points have not aged well in the last 10 years. And finally, E is for education. We believe in giving every child a chance to learn and thrive. There have been some reforms since we published our education policy, but more can be done. We called for the abolition of streaming in 1994, before some of you were born, but we were roundly criticized at the time. Fast forward 30 years later, and we have finally got full subject-based banding for students who don't make it to IP or SAP schools. The government is still too addicted to sorting out human beings, even as children. But at least there's hope that we can wean them off this addiction, and perhaps with your help and a strong message on 3rd of May, maybe move them to a cure. The SDP is a competent, constructive, and compassionate party. We're a small party. We're so small we didn't get invited to the Channel News Asia live roundtable. But look at the stage here. Consider the fact that even the PAP could not mount rallies every single night. We have an incredible team. Give them a hand. Despite very limited resources and sometimes unbelievable regulations, they have been able to pull off a series of rallies which allows us to get our message to the people of Singapore directly and unfiltered. Thank you all too for coming to spread the word. This is a good sign for those of you who are concerned about town council management by the SDP. We will do a good job and we'll do it ourselves. The SDP are good as a team. I myself have been reasonably successful in my career, but that is about 90% due to my parents. Although we were comfortable growing up, not terribly wealthy, the most important thing they did for my sister and I was to instill good values in us. My mother, as many of you know, was a tireless advocate for the disabled in Singapore. My sister continues to look for ways for sustainable economic justice. My father was a well-known diabetes specialist. Soon after my ORD, I went back to hospital and I was posted to the diabetes ward. Unfortunately, every time I did something right, my boss would say, "Well done, John." If I did something wrong, she'd say, "Paul, why did you do that?" I realized then that there was no future for me in diabetes in Singapore, and I became an infectious disease doctor. My father actually was the one who encouraged me to take no pay leave and go to the US to do my postgraduate training. He always believed there was no point being a big fish in a small pond. If I really wanted to do well, I had to prove myself in the world's best centers, competing against the leaders in the field, rather than going around the local medical centers enjoying the unasked privilege of being John Tambaya's son. I really appreciated that, as I learned survival skills I could never have learned in the comfort of Singapore. And that is why it puzzles me when the current PAP leaders say that having more opposition in Parliament will be bad for Singapore. I firmly believe that healthy competition can only make someone better. As I've said earlier in this campaign, the best football teams in the world get better by playing against teams which are stronger than them, not by shifting the goalposts, shortening the training periods for their opponents, committing professional fouls, etc. So let's hope that on the 3rd of May, you give the PAP a chance to improve themselves by voting in strong opposition members into Parliament, like the SDP. Finally, I would like to share a disturbing story I read in the Straits Times yesterday. A 21-year-old law student from Singapore Management University was reported to be excited about her maiden political rally experience, but got concerned after her father, who works in a government-linked corporation, cautioned her against revealing her name to the newspaper. That's the end of the quote. While fear may be generational, as her father may have grown up in the era of Operation Cold Store or Operation Spectrum, when the 3 a.m. knock on the door was a reality for critics of the PAP. It is disturbing that today many young people still share the same fear. I would call on Mr. Chan Chun Sing, Minister in the Prime Minister's office, who is apparently in charge of the Elections Department, to make a strong statement reassuring Singaporeans they can vote freely without fear of retribution, no matter whether they work in the civil service, the military, the police, or any other government organization. Their loyalty is to the government and people of Singapore, regardless of whoever is in power. If Mr. Chan is not keen on making the statement, that's okay. Don't worry. We had more than 10,000 people at our rally in Sembawang on Sunday. And at the last general election, 967,046 people voted for the non-PAP candidates. Nothing happened to them. There is no way that you can mark or punish 967,000 people, and maybe more this time. Your vote is secret. Vote freely. Vote with confidence. Vote for a Singapore where everyone can thrive. Vote for the SDP. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
You've heard him, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Paul, everybody.
Does Dr. Paul deserve to be in Parliament? Are you going to vote for him to be in Parliament? Your vote is secret. Come 3rd of May, please do not be afraid to vote for alternative voice. Do not be afraid to vote for Dr. Paul to be in Parliament. Do not be afraid to vote for Dr. Chee to be in Parliament. Do not be afraid to vote for our 11 candidates into Parliament, because they will be your voice in Parliament.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, and right now, we would like to invite our pride and our pleasure, the man who has been with SDP, trials and tribulations as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he has been also with us, together with them, at the forefront of SDP. It is our honor, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've been waiting past your lunch. I know you are staying here because you want to stay here. We know you want your voices to be heard. SDP is right here. Are you here with us, everybody? Are you here with us, everybody? Are you here with us, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Chee.
Dr. Chee is the candidate for Sembawang West SMC.
Let's do that again, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Chee!
Thank you. Siapa boy? Sudah makan, everybody? Vanakkam. I was here about 10 years ago, right at this spot, also conducting this rally. It doesn't look like much has changed, but for a few more wrinkles and less hair, this speaker has also not changed because we are raring to go. In Singapore, they say we have two seasons, warm and stuffy, but at least there's no lightning today. It's warm and it's stuffy, but I'm going to tell you a few things that will make you hotter. I'm going to take you on a short but crucial ride and give you hard, unmistakable evidence of how the quality of the PAP has deteriorated over the years. But I want to preface my speech with this caveat. I have no interest in conducting PAP bashing. I'm going to list out a list of PAP scandals and screw-ups only because our PAP ministers keep running the propaganda that they are exceptional and that they don't need an opposition to hold them accountable. No, they need to be humble and they need to acknowledge that Singapore needs an opposition in Parliament, an opposition like the SDP to make our nation stronger. So are you ready? Here we go. Now let's start with the inexcusable behavior of former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong over his handling of the Tan Chuan Jin affair. In June 2023, and I want you to note this date, June 2023, the government dropped the bombshell news that the then Speaker of Parliament had resigned his post because of an extramarital affair he had with his fellow PNP MP, Ms. Cheng Li Hui. I highlight this incident not to rehash that personal indiscretions of Mr. Tan and Ms. Cheng, but rather to frankly focus on this rather bizarre behavior and incompetent manner that Mr. Lee Hsien Loong handled the affair. Now, Mr. Lee disclosed that he was aware of Tan's romantic involvement with Cheng as far back as 2020, right after the GE that year. And he said that he had confronted the Speaker over the matter, but then he inexplicably allowed Tan to remain in his position for another 3 years. According to Lee, he wanted to give Tan and Cheng a softer exit. But Mr. Lee forgets that he is not some father addressing his children, but the Prime Minister of Singapore handling affairs of the state. I am reminded of another Lee who once said that whoever wishes to govern this nation must have that iron in him. And the matter didn't end there. It wasn't until February of 2023, 2.5 years later, that Lee revisited the issue. This time, around Tan Chuan Jin tendered his resignation. But get this, Lee then continued, despite that resignation, to allow Mr. Tan to remain in his post for another 6 months. Did Mr. Lee not think that there was a danger of Tan's position being compromised and that could affect the functions of the state? Not only that, the entire matter was kept from the public for 3 full years. So when the new PM, Lawrence Wong, said that the government will be upfront and transparent, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. The curious thing is that it wasn't the first time that Lee had to deal with such a matter. There was already the situation with Michael Palmer, who was also Speaker. I don't know what that position is so seductive. And then there was another case regarding another PAP MP, Mr. David Ong. But the point is that Mr. Lee did not have experience in dealing with such matters. And yet, he acted like a deer in a headlight over the Tan Chuan Jin affair. The ineptitude raised many eyebrows, not to mention questions. Then there was a screw-up involving Minister Vivian Balakrishnan, who had announced in 2020 that the government would introduce a device for contact tracing during the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you remember that? Well, he promised that at that time, that the device would not track an individual's location. The data would be used to, quote, purely for contact tracing, period, he said, unquote. And as it turned out, that promise lasted only 6 months, because in January the following year, the minister had to do a keblakang pusing and break the news that the police had indeed used the data for its investigations. And here's the question that's screaming to be asked. Why did the minister not do his homework before he made the statement? And more alarmingly, how was it that his colleague from Home Affairs, his fellow Rideout resident, not point out his error? Embarrassingly, it was a member of the public which had alerted Dr. Balakrishnan to the faux pas. Tell me, who was sleeping, Balakrishnan or Shanmugam? And speaking of Rideout Road, the pair was embroiled in another scandal, controversy when they each rented a state-owned black and white bungalow at Rideout Road. But curiously, it was their wives who had submitted the application and then signed the tenancy agreement with the authorities. Why? Why did they rent the properties under their wives' names instead of their own? And to qualify for the rentals, the applicants needed to demonstrate an income 3 times more than the rental. Was Mrs. Balakrishnan's and Mrs. Shanmugam's salaries enough to qualify? Silence. Now, during the parliamentary hearing over the incident, Mr. Shanmugam also disclosed that he owned another good-class bungalow, which he was preparing to sell off and therefore needed to rent one at Rideout Road. And shortly thereafter, the minister managed to sell off his bungalow for an eye-popping $88 million. Now, we've asked Mr. Shanmugam several questions pertaining to the sale, one of which was, just who did he sell his bungalow to? Again, the silence is deafening. Of course, no discussion of PAP incompetence would be complete without mentioning my namesake, Mr. Chee Hong Tat. Mr. Chee came into true prominence when he bungled the installation of the new MRT's ticketing system called Simply Go. Long story short, the exercise drew such a public backlash that the minister also did a keblakang pusing and abandoned the project. The U-turn cost taxpayers another 40 million, big ones. Then came the latest season of MRT breakdowns. In September last year, the East-West line staged a 5-day protest and affected 500,000 trips a day. It was the worst disruption of the MRT system's 37-year history. Now get this. The breakdown happened after the government spent $2.6 billion, billion with a B, to review and renew north-south and east-west lines. A month later, a train on the LRT system, this time in Bukit Panjang, also broke down. A rescue train was dispatched to tow the broken carriage back to the station, but you guessed it, the rescue train also broke down. You can't make this stuff up, my friends. Again, the LRT meltdown occurred despite the government spending $344 million.
in a renewal project, which started in 2018. Now, through the years, the MRT system has been plagued with electrical failures, floods, collisions, cracks in carriages, management problems, which resulted in injuries and even a couple of deaths. And as if not to be upstaged, the Finance Ministry also waded in with this honorable mention. In 2016, money stolen from one MDB by then Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, who is now serving a lengthy jail term. I don't know if he's still in prison or not, but it found its way into Singapore, US $700 million to be precise. MAS Managing Director Ravi Menon said that the incident tarred Singapore's reputation as a financial center. You think? Then there was the money launderers from China when they laundered more than $3 billion in Singapore. Now, mind you, this is despite a wanted notice issued by China, by the Chinese government in 2015 for some of these individuals. And just a year later, another syndicate, this time from Japan, was accused of washing $600 million in Singapore. Now, it is not for nothing that Singapore is now called the world's laundromat. The next matter I'm going to tell you truly beggars belief. In 2017, the Temasek-owned Keppel Offshore Marine, or KOM, pleaded guilty in a New York court to participating in a bribery scandal involving Petrobras, a Brazilian oil company. The incident involved KOM paying $74 million in bribes between 2001 and 2014. It was one of the biggest scandals in US history. KOM's parent company was Keppel Corp, whose board of directors was chaired by that time by former PAP Minister Lee Boon-yang. Remember, the bribes took place over a span of 14 years. Was there no auditing of the company's account? How did they reconcile the books? And why didn't anybody question where the payments of the $74 million went to during the entire period? Someone had taken a very long nap. And back home in Singapore, the CPIB issued only stern warnings to 6 former KOM staff and then unbelievably refused to name them. Then in 2018, news broke that hackers had stolen the personal data of 1.5 million patients in SingHealth's data system. A total of 160,000 patients, including the Prime Ministers, had their prescriptions stolen. The Committee of Inquiry found that rampant flaws within the system that was, quote, mismanaged and inadequate, unquote. And at about this time, Singaporeans woke up one morning to this incredible news that a huge swath of the Kranji forest had been cleared by mistake. How such a massive project like this could have been carried out by mistake boggles the mind. Tenders would have to be called, security would have to be coordinated, payments would have to be made, so on. How can such an exercise be conducted by mistake? Lagi worse. If that's possible, like the trace together embarrassment, the government in this case also didn't realize the problem until a member of the public posted aerial photographs of the denuded forest. Exceptional leadership? Of course, there's Mr. Iswaran, who inappropriately accepted gifts and is now under home detention after a short stint in prison. I hope it's not another good-class bungalow that he's serving his detention. What about Josephine Teo and Indrani Raja over the Accra fiasco when our NRIC numbers and other information were exposed? Believe me, there are other screw-ups which I can list out, but you have to go back to the office. I repeat what I said at the beginning. of my speech, my message is not that the PAP, this government, is 100% bad or that it's 100% good. What I want to get across to you is that the PAP is most certainly not the exceptional party that it says that it is. And if you're not exceptional, then be humble. Don't demand exceptional salaries. Most of all, acknowledge and accept the fact that the PAP needs meaningful opposition in Parliament to govern Singapore better. The problem is that they say that because they are so talented, that they must be paid such astronomical salaries. If we don't pay them what they demand, then they might fall into the seductive hands of corruption. Think about it. Those of you who are parents here, do you keep giving your children money so that they don't steal? Or do you educate them that stealing is bad, it hurts those around us? And if you are caught committing such poor behavior, then there will be sanctions, period. You don't reward them not to steal. In other words, you build character. Let me do this experiment with you. Try this. When you go back to your office after this, try this. Go into your boss's office and say, hey, boss, you know, double my salary. Otherwise, I might steal the company's computer. And then you see what he tells you. We must educate our ministers that corruption is bad and that if they are caught, there are consequences, period. We don't pay them exorbitant salaries to not be corrupt. We elect our leaders based on their moral rectitude. Anything less, and we are better off without them. In truth, ladies and gentlemen, the PAP is not the competent organization that it claims to be. When the party started off, yes, you could say that our first generation of ministers, they were capable and competent. But the quality of its present ministers, the younger set of leaders, leaves very much to be desired. For one thing, it has adopted many of the SDP's ideas like abolishing streaming, introducing universal health care, implementing retrenchment insurance, making sure that our businesses employ Singaporeans first, and nationalizing our kindergartens, and so on. The converse is actually true. The quality of Singapore's government will improve with more opposition, with constructive and compassionate parties like the SDP in Parliament. My friends, I take pains to provide you with facts and concrete evidence so that you are equipped with information and not be swayed by the PAP's propaganda. Blind support for the PAP, blind faith, lulls society into thinking that things are fine when they are clearly not. And worse, that there is no alternative to the PAP. As far as our economy is concerned, we're still stuck with low productivity, low wage, high-cost model. In truth, the malaise that has been going on since Mr. Goh Chok Tong's prime ministership, with matters degenerating further under Lee Hsien Loong, and now to Lawrence Wong, a span of more than 3 decades. In that time, the problems have not been resolved, but they have gotten worse with each prime minister. Now, here's the question that you must ask yourself. Do you think that Goh Chok Tong couldn't do what Lee Hsien Loong did? Lee Hsien Loong couldn't do it either, but somehow now with Lawrence Wong, that he can miraculously change Singapore's course? During his prime ministership, I repeatedly urged Mr. Lee Hsien Loong to be a good leader who takes Singapore to a new and high level. In my book, Never on Bended Knees, I wrote, lest I be accused of being promiscuous in my criticism of the Prime Minister, I have repeatedly urged Mr. Lee to be the transformative leader that our nation needs. He can choose to open up the system in Singapore and seal his legacy as an enlightened statesman, or he can continue running the country through intimidation and fear. Alas, he chose the latter. I take this opportunity to urge the new Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong, to do the same. Gone are the years when authoritarian control can be justified. Society has progressed, times have changed, and the people want openness and transparency. They want to be reasoned with, not talked down to. They want and demand a more democratic system, one where the government censors less and listens more. Unfortunately, it looks like Mr. Wong is not off to a promising start. For one thing, announcing the new boundaries and then calling elections just 1 month later, while all the egregious gerrymandering goes on, signals that Mr. Wong is cut from the very same old PAP cloth. My fellow Singaporeans, our nation stands at a crossroads. The choices we make today will echo far beyond our own time. Be bold, be brave, be on the right side of history. Let us lead, not for power, but for purpose. Let us lead, not for applause, but for a legacy that lifts Singapore. Let us lead, not with fear, but with faith in our people. Let us lead, not by clinging on to the past, but by focusing boldly in the future. Let us lead, not with narrow ambition, but with the wide and noble spirit of compassion that will truly leave no one behind. Now, more than ever, our country cries out for wisdom, for vision, for hope. Now, more than ever, Singapore needs not just cleverness, but true leadership. My fellow Singaporeans, the future is calling. Let us answer it with courage. Thank you. Vote SDP. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Chee.
The man who has been called a liar, a cheat, but up till today, he is still standing tall. Does he deserve to be in Parliament? Come 3rd of May, please vote Dr. Chee into Parliament, because he will make sure there's no more sleeping member of Parliament in Parliament.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, for each and every one of you, as the NMC, it has been a pleasure to see our Singapore spirit want the best version of Singapore. We want the voices to be heard, ladies and gentlemen, and we want it to be heard right now. Ladies and gentlemen, SDP supporters, give it up, give yourself a big round of applause, everybody!
And the best way to support Dr. Chee, not just voting him, his books are on sale. Dr. Chee will be doing his autograph at this corner. So for those of you who support Dr. Chee, support his work, please go and get a copy of his books from the merchandise.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We applaud you. May you walk back safely across over to your office right here or back to your homes and enjoy. We will be here again tomorrow at Sun Plaza, okay? So, yeah.
No, let me announce the tonight rally.
Oh, tonight, that's right.
Rally will be from 8 to 10 p.m. 8 to 10 p.m. It will be at Beacon Primary.
Beacon
and
Primary.
That will be
Sun Plaza.
Dr. Paul's Bukit Panjang SMC. So we hope to see you all tonight. Please come in red, show us a sea of red.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a great day ahead, Singaporeans.
And also, my friends, please join us to thank all our volunteers for making all this possible. Thank our media team, Under the Sun. I hope you're well hydrated. And also thank our men in blue. Thank you for keeping all of us safe. Thank you for keeping the place orderly. And also, I forgot to thank very important person, our healthcare, our ambulance. They are always on standby in case any one of us falls sick. Please join us to thank all of them, because only with them this is all possible. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day ahead. We'll see you back again soon.
And last one, we need volunteers for polling agent. Please sign up and be our polling agent for the 4 constituencies that we are standing for. To find out more information, please go to our merchandise booth. Thank you very much. Thank you.